Captain Haiyan Wu stood in the observation deck of Sentinel-9, watching the stars through the massive window. He had been stationed here for 3 years, monitoring the border between human space and the territories claimed by the Krynith Empire. It was supposed to be a quiet assignment. That changed today. Captain, we're receiving another distress signal from Tau Ceti 4, his communications officer said, her voice shaking. They're asking for immediate help. Haiyan Wu clenched his fists. He had sent 3 warnings to the Krynith fleet approaching the human colony. Each time, they ignored him. Each time, they came closer. Now they were in orbit above the planet, and there was nothing he could do. His station had sensors and communication equipment, but no weapons. No ships. Just eyes to watch and record. Keep recording everything, he ordered. I want every detail captured. On Earth, Ambassador Yunhee sat in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. Around her, representatives from 40 different species discussed trade routes and mining rights. She waited for her turn to speak, as she always did. Humans were the newcomers here, only 80 years in the council. The older species treated Earth like children at an adult's table. Her tablet buzzed. A priority message from Sentinel-9. She opened it and felt her blood turn cold. The Krynith warships opened fire on Tau Ceti 4 without warning. Haiyan Wu watched helplessly as bright flashes lit up the planet's surface. The colony had 3,000 people. Families, scientists, teachers, children. The Krynith. Bombardment lasted 40 minutes. When it stopped, Tau Ceti IV was silent. Did anyone survive? Haiyan Wu asked quietly. His officer checked the scanners, tears running down her face. No life signs, Captain. They're all gone. Haiyan Wu recorded his report with a steady voice. The rage burned in his chest. He sent everything to Earth Command and to Ambassador Yunhee. Then he sat down and allowed himself 5 minutes to grieve. Just 5 minutes. After that, he had work to do. At the Galactic Council, Yunhee stood up suddenly, interrupting a delegate from the Vexer Union. The chamber fell silent. Humans never interrupted. They always waited their turn, always followed protocol. The Krynith Empire has attacked Tau Ceti 4, she announced, her voice cutting through the silence. 3,000 human civilians are dead. We sent warnings. 3 separate warnings. They were ignored. The Krynith ambassador, a tall creature with blue-gray skin and 4 arms, made a dismissive gesture. The planet was in disputed territory. Your species claimed it without proper authorization. We merely reclaimed what was ours. We followed every council regulation, Yunhee said, her voice hard. We filed the claim. We waited the required period. We established the colony legally. And you murdered everyone there. The council head, an ancient being from the Eldar species, raised one hand. Ambassador Yunhee, please. Violence is regrettable, but territorial disputes happen. We can discuss reparations, perhaps relocate the boundaries. No, Yunhee said. The single word echoed in the chamber. The Krynith ambassador laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. What will you do, human? Your species has been spacefaring for barely a century. You have merchant ships and exploration vessels. You've never fought a war among the stars. You don't even know what war is. Yunhee looked directly at him. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were ice. We know exactly what war is. We ended our last global conflict just before we discovered faster-than-light travel. We remember. We remember very well. She turned to address the entire council. Earth has shown patience. We have followed your rules. We have been peaceful neighbors. But there is a line, and the Krynith have crossed it. This is our final warning to the Krynith Empire and to this council. Cross that line again, and you will face consequences you cannot imagine. The Krynith ambassador laughed again. Threats from soft mammals. How amusing. Yanhee didn't smile. She gathered her materials and walked toward the exit. At the doorway, she turned back. When humans give a warning, we mean it. Remember that. On Earth, Admiral Jiwoo received Ambassador Yunhee's report in his office at Defense Command. He read it twice, then opened a secure channel to the president. They killed everyone at Tau Ceti, he said, and they're not taking us seriously. The president's face appeared on the screen, looking tired and sad. The council wants to negotiate boundaries, wants to talk about reparations. Ji-woo shook his head. They don't understand. The Krynith think we're weak. Are we activating Protocol Exodus? The president asked. Ji-woo nodded slowly. I believe we must. We gave them every chance. We followed every rule. They chose to ignore us. If we don't act now, they'll see it as permission to continue. The president was quiet for a long moment. We built the Ghost Fleet hoping we'd never need it. We kept our true strength hidden, hoping peace would last. Peace only works when everyone respects everyone else, Ji-woo said. The Krynith see kindness as weakness. It's time we reminded the galaxy who humans really are. The president nodded. Protocol Exodus is authorized. Recall all our diplomats. Begin evacuation of border colonies. An admiral, bring our people home. Within hours, every human ambassador left their posting. Every human representative departed the council. Earth's borders closed. Communication channels went dark. The Krynith Empire celebrated, thinking they had frightened humanity into hiding. They were very, very wrong. General Tae-young walked through the underground facility known as Echo Base. It was buried 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Mars, hidden from any orbital scans. The base had been built in secret over the past 60 years, using mining operations as cover. Only a handful of people knew it existed. Now it was time to wake it up. Status report, Tae-young ordered as he entered the command center. A young officer named Sang-woo saluted. Sir, all Ghost Fleet vessels are reporting ready status. We have 240 warships fully armed and crewed. Another 60 ships are completing final checks. 240 warships. The Galactic Council thought Earth had maybe 20 exploration vessels. They had no idea. Tae-young nodded. And the crews? Every person volunteered, sir. When word spread about Tau Ceti, we had more volunteers than positions. Sang-woo's voice was steady, but anger flickered in his eyes. They want justice for those 3,000 people. In another section of Echo Base, Dr. Hai-jin reviewed weapon systems with her team. She was the lead scientist on what they called the Horizon Project. While the galaxy used energy shields and plasma weapons, humans had gone a different direction. Show me the railgun test results, she said. Her assistant pulled up the data. The railgun could fire a solid projectile at a significant fraction of light speed. No energy signature to detect before firing. No way to dodge once fired. Simple physics turned into a weapon. The kinetic bombardment systems are also ready, her assistant added. We can drop tungsten rods from orbit with pinpoint accuracy. Hai-jin smiled grimly. Old Earth weapons scaled up for space combat. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best. She moved to the next station, where experimental gravity weapons were being prepared. These were new, based on technology humans had developed in secret. They could create localized gravity wells, crushing ships or pulling them out of formation. The galaxy thinks we're primitive, Hai-jin said to her team. They think because we don't use the same technology they do, we must be inferior. They're about to learn otherwise. General Tae-young called a briefing for all ship commanders. They gathered in Echo Base's main hangar, where rows of warships waited in the darkness. These ships looked different from typical human vessels. They were angular, painted in dark colors that absorbed sensor scans. Built for war, not exploration. Most of you know our history, Taeyang began. Before we reached the stars, humanity fought the Third World War. 20 years of conflict. 500 million people died. When it finally ended, we swore never again. We unified. We built a better world. He paused, looking at each commander. But we didn't forget how to fight. We couldn't, because we knew that peace only lasts when you can defend it. So we prepared. We built this fleet in secret. We trained in secret. We waited, hoping we'd never need you. Now we do, he continued. The Krynith Empire murdered 3,000 civilians. They laughed at our warnings. They think we're weak because we chose peace. It's time to show them the truth. Commander Sangwoo stood up. Sir, what are our rules of engagement? We fight clean, Taeyang said firmly. We target military installations only. No civilian populations. No war crimes. We're not the Krynith. But make no mistake, we will hit them hard enough that they never threaten human space again. Across human territory, evacuation protocols began. Border colonies received warning to prepare for possible conflict. Families packed essential belongings. Merchant ships transformed into transport vessels. Admiral Ji-woo personally oversaw the operation from Earth Defense Command. How long until everyone's safe? He asked his logistics officer. 72 hours, sir. We're moving people to core worlds, away from Krynith territory. Ji-woo studied the star map on the main display. Red markers showed Krynith positions. Blue showed human colonies. The Krynith were massing forces, preparing for another attack. Intelligence suggested they planned to invade 3 more worlds, including New Seoul, humanity's largest colony outside the solar system. They think we're running scared, Ji-woo muttered. Let them think that. Back at Echo Base, General Taeyang received a coded message from Earth. He read it, then activated his command staff. New intel, he announced. Krynith Empire is planning a major offensive. Target is New Seoul. They're committing a significant fleet, expecting easy victory. Dr. Hae-jin joined the briefing via hologram. That's their mistake. New Seoul has hidden defense platforms. We built them into the asteroid field surrounding the planet. They won't see them until it's too late. How many ships are they sending? Sangwoo asked. Preliminary counts suggest 300 warships, Taeyang replied. More than enough to overwhelm what they think we have. Sangwoo grinned. So we'll be outnumbered. Good. Means there's enough to go around. Taeyang pulled up tactical displays. Here's the plan. We let them commit to the attack. Let them enter the New Seoul system. Once they're engaged with the defense platforms, the Ghost Fleet drops out of stealth behind them. We hit them from both sides. Hammer and anvil, Dr. Hae-jin said approvingly. Classic tactics. Classic works, Taeyang agreed. The Krynith have been the dominant military power for 200 years. They haven't fought a real war in a century. They've forgotten what a determined enemy looks like. We're going to remind them. As preparations continued, a transmission arrived from the Galactic Council. They were calling for Earth to return to negotiations. They promised to mediate the dispute with the Krynith. They urged patience and diplomacy. Admiral Ji-woo deleted the message without responding. Patience had been tried. Diplomacy had been tried. Warnings had been given. The time for talk was over. On Echo Base, General Taeyang gave the final order. All ships, begin deployment to New Seoul. Maintain stealth protocols. No active sensors. No communications. Ghost Fleet lives up to its name. 240 warships lifted silently from their hidden berths. They moved into position, invisible to enemy sensors, waiting in the darkness of space. Crews ran final checks on weapons. Marines prepared boarding equipment. Fighter pilots reviewed attack patterns. Everyone knew what was coming. The Krynith Empire was about to learn that humanity's patience had limits. That warnings given should be heeded. That the peaceful species they had dismissed was also the species that had survived a world war and emerged stronger. The Ghost Fleet was ready. Now they just had to wait for the Krynith to make their fatal mistake. Captain Dong Hyan sat in the command chair of the warship Ensign's Fury, watching his tactical display in silence. Around him, the bridge crew worked quietly, efficiently. They had been holding position in deep space for 18 hours, waiting. "Captain, I'm detecting movement," Lieutenant Nari announced from her tactical station. "Multiple hyperspace signatures emerging at the edge of New Sol system." "How many?" Dong Hyan asked calmly. Nari's fingers flew across her console. "Counting 297 ships, sir. Krynith Empire warships, matching the projected invasion force." Dong Hyan felt his pulse quicken, but his voice remained steady. "Excellent. Maintain stealth. All ships hold position. Let them come to us." Across the Ghost Fleet, 240 human warships drifted silently in the darkness, their stealth systems making them invisible to Krynith sensors. They watched as the enemy fleet moved confidently toward New Sol, expecting no resistance. On New Sol itself, evacuation was nearly complete. Only military personnel remained, manning the hidden defense platforms built into the surrounding asteroid field. Governor Yoon, the colony administrator, stood in the command bunker watching the approaching fleet on the display. "They're not even trying to hide," she said. "They think we're defenseless." The military commander beside her nodded. "Good. Let them get closer. Our platforms will hold until the Ghost Fleet arrives." The Krynith warships were massive, 3 times the size of human vessels. They relied on thick armor and powerful shields, using brute force rather than tactics. Their formation was loose, almost careless. "They're treating this like a parade," Nari observed from her station on the Ensign's Fury. "Their mistake," Dong Hyan replied. "Tactical. Are the other fleet elements in position?" "Confirmed, sir. All 240 ships ready. We have them, completely surrounded. They just don't know it yet." The Krynith fleet entered the asteroid field. Suddenly, dozens of the asteroids came alive, revealing themselves as hidden weapon platforms. Railguns opened fire, sending solid projectiles screaming through space at tremendous speed. 3 Krynith ships exploded before their commander even realized they were under attack. "All ships, open fire." The Krynith admiral broadcast. "Destroy those platforms." But as the Krynith concentrated on the platforms ahead of them, the Ghost Fleet cloaked behind them. 240 warships appeared as if from nowhere, weapons hot and ready. "All ships," Dong Hyan broadcast to the human fleet. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Fire at will." The Ensign's Fury unleashed its railguns. Tungsten slugs, accelerated to incredible speeds, punched through Krynith shields like they weren't even there. The enemy shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Nari coordinated the attack with deadly precision. "Target their engines first. Disable them, then destroy them." Human ships were smaller and faster than the Krynith warships. They darted between the larger vessels, striking at weak points, then moving before the enemy could return fire. It was like watching wolves hunt among buffalo. "Enemy ship attempting to break away," Nari reported. "Bearing 347. Pursuit Team Beta, you have the target," Dong Hyan ordered. 4 human ships peeled off and chased down the fleeing Krynith vessel. Their coordinated fire crippled its engines, leaving it drifting helplessly. On board the Krynith flagship, Admiral Kresh stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His massive fleet was being torn apart by ships half their size. How was this possible? Humans didn't have warships. They didn't have weapons like this. Where did these ships come from? He demanded. His tactical officer's voice shook. Unknown, Admiral. They appeared from nowhere. Our sensors never detected them. Return fire. Destroy them. But the human ships were too fast, too agile. Every time a Krynith ship tried to target one, it was already gone, replaced by weapons fire from a different angle. Dong Haiyan watched his tactical display with satisfaction. The battle was going exactly as planned. Status report. 68 enemy ships destroyed, Nari reported. Another 43 disabled. We've lost 3 ships, 12 damaged, but still combat capable. 3 losses hurt, but they had known there would be casualties. The Krynith were paying a much heavier price for their arrogance. Sir, detecting boarding pods launching from the enemy flagship, Nari said. They're trying to board our ships. Dong Haiyan smiled grimly. Let them try. Marine Commander Wu Jin, you have incoming boarders. In the marine bay of the Inchen's Fury, Wu Jin checked his weapon one last time. He was young, only 23, but he had trained for this his entire adult life. Around him, 50 Marines prepared for close combat. Listen up, Wu Jin said to his team. These aliens have never fought humans hand-to-hand. They rely on size and strength. We rely on speed, tactics, and training. Show them what that means. The Krynith boarding pods clamped onto the hull. Cutting torches began burning through. The Marines took positions, weapons ready. The hull breached, and Krynith warriors poured through. They were large, heavily armed, and confident. They had boarded dozens of ships before, and always won. This time was different. Wu Jin's Marines moved like they had trained, using cover, coordinating fire, supporting each other. The Krynith, used to intimidating their enemies, found themselves facing soldiers who didn't intimidate easily. The battle in the corridors was brutal and short. Within 10 minutes, every Krynith boarder was either dead or captured. Wu Jin wiped blood from his face and reported to the bridge. Boarding attempt repelled, Captain. 0 friendly casualties. We have 12 prisoners. Excellent work, Marine Commander, Dong Haiyan replied. Now, let's return the favor. Prepare boarding teams. We're taking their flagship. Wu Jin grinned. Yes, sir. Human boarding pods launched toward the Krynith flagship. They used shaped charges to blow through the hull, and Marines poured into the enemy ship. The Krynith crew fought hard, but they had never trained for ship-to-ship combat like this. Every corridor became a battlefield, and the humans won each one. Wu Jin led his team toward the bridge. They fought past security stations, through crew quarters, over barricades. The Krynith were brave, but bravery wasn't enough against superior training and tactics. Breach the bridge, Wu Jin ordered. Explosives blew the bridge door open. Wu Jin's team rushed in, weapons ready. Admiral Kresh stood in the center, surrounded by his command staff. Surrender, Wu Jin said simply, his weapon aimed at the Admiral. Kresh looked around at his destroyed fleet on the displays, at the human Marines who had captured his flagship, at everything he thought he knew about humanity being proven wrong. We surrender, he said quietly. Back on the Inchen's Fury, Dong Haiyan received reports from across the fleet. The battle was over. 174 Krynith ships destroyed. 93 captured or disabled. 30 escaped, fleeing back to Krynith space. Human losses. 7 ships destroyed, 28 damaged. Open a channel to New Seoul, Dong Haiyan ordered. Let them know the colony is safe. He then composed a message to Earth Command. Simple and direct. New Seoul secured. Enemy fleet destroyed. Prisoners taken. Sending the survivors home with a message. You were warned. Admiral Gi-woo stood in Earth Defense Command, studying the holographic star map floating before him. Red markers showed Krynith military installations scattered across their empire. 12 major bases. 43 smaller outposts. All of them targets. The Galactic Council is demanding we attend an emergency session, his aide informed him. Tell him we'll talk when we're done, Jiwoo replied without looking away from the map. Right now, we have work to do. The victory at New Seoul had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Humanity, the peaceful newcomers, had destroyed a Krynith invasion fleet. Now the question was what Earth would do next. G-Woo knew the answer. They would finish it. Initiate Operation Reckoning, he ordered. All fleet elements proceed to their assigned targets. Strike simultaneously. I want every Krynith military installation hit at the same time. Across human space, the Ghost Fleet divided into strike groups. Each group had a specific target. Each group knew exactly what to do. They had been training for scenarios like this for decades. Commander Bayer sat in the intelligence center on Earth, coordinating the operation. She had been analyzing Krynith communications since the war began, breaking their encryption codes and learning their defense patterns. Admiral, we've located the Krynith homeworld defense grid, she reported. Their capital planet, Krynthia, has 36 orbital defense platforms. But there's a weakness in the sensor coverage over the northern pole. We can insert strike teams there. Excellent work, Commander, Jiwoo said. Prepare the assault plan. But remember, we target only military installations. No civilian casualties. Ba-Ra nodded. Understood, sir. The weapons foundry orbiting their capital is a legitimate military target. If we destroy it, we cripple their ability to build new warships. She pulled up detailed scans of the foundry. It was massive, capable of producing 5 warships simultaneously. Destroying it would be a significant blow. I have the perfect person for this mission, Jiwoo said. Get me Captain Yoonji. Captain Yoonji was a pilot, one of the best humanity had ever produced. She flew the Thunderbird, an experimental strike craft designed for precision attacks. Small, fast, and nearly impossible to detect. You want me to hit the foundry? Yoonji asked when Jiwoo briefed her on the mission. Can you do it? Yoonji studied the tactical data. The foundry was protected by shields, defense turrets, and patrol ships. Getting in would be hard. Getting out would be harder. But she had never backed down from a challenge. Yes, sir. I can do it. Operation Reckoning began at precisely 0600 hours Earth Standard Time. 12 human strike groups dropped out of hyperspace at 12 different Krynith military installations, all within a 2-minute window. The Krynith had never faced a coordinated attack like this. They were used to fighting one battle at a time, in one location. Suddenly, they were being hit everywhere at one spot at the Krynith naval base orbiting Sector 7. Human ships appeared without warning and unleashed railgun fire on the docked warships. Krynith vessels, caught unprepared and unmanned, exploded before they could even raise shields. At the training facility on Krynith 2, human bombers destroyed barracks and equipment storage. Careful to strike only when satellites confirmed no personnel were present. They wanted to damage infrastructure, not kill unnecessarily. At the weapons research station in the Outer Rim, human marines boarded and seized control, capturing valuable intelligence and technology while evacuating the scientific staff safely. Every strike was precise. Every target carefully chosen. This wasn't random violence. This was calculated military action designed to cripple the Krynith war machine while minimizing casualties. Back on Krynthia, the Krynith Emperor received reports of the simultaneous attacks with growing horror. His empire was being systematically dismantled. How are they doing this? He demanded. How do they know where all our bases are? His intelligence chief looked terrified. They've broken our codes, Your Majesty. They know everything. Our deployments, our defenses, our supply lines, everything. The emperor slumped in his throne. His empire had been the dominant military power for 2 centuries. Now humans, whom he had dismissed as weak and irrelevant, were taking it apart piece by piece. Above Crinthia, Captain Yunji piloted the Thunderbird through the northern polar region, slipping past the sensor gaps that Commander Biora had identified. Her small craft was nearly invisible, using specialized stealth technology that no other species had developed. Approaching the foundry, she reported to her command ship. Defense systems active, but they haven't detected me yet. The weapons foundry loomed ahead, a massive structure of metal and energy. Inside, 3 new Krynith warships were under construction. Yunji armed her missiles, special weapons designed to penetrate shields and cause catastrophic damage. Missiles away, she announced calmly. The Thunderbird shuddered as 12 missiles launched. Yunji immediately dove away, pushing her engines to maximum as the missiles streaked toward the foundry. The foundry's defenses detected the missiles and opened fire, destroying 4 of them. But 8 got through, punching into critical systems. Secondary explosions rippled through the structure. The fusion reactors destabilized. Foundry is breaking up, Bungie reported. Evacuating the area, she pushed the Thunderbird hard, racing away as the foundry tore itself apart behind her. The explosion lit up Crynthia's night sky like a second sun. On the surface, citizens watched in shock. Their mighty foundry, symbol of Krynith military power, was gone. Across the Empire, similar scenes played out. The fuel depot at Sector 9 exploded. The shipyard at Krynith 5 was disabled. The communications hub in the Central Zone went dark in 6 hours. Operation Reckoning destroyed or captured 60% of the Krynith Empire's military infrastructure. Commander Baora monitored the results from Earth. Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from multiple Krynith installations. They're asking for terms. Tell them to direct all surrender requests to their Emperor, Jiwoo replied. This ends when their government surrenders, not before. The Galactic Council watched the operation with a mixture of awe and fear. Humanity had gone from dismissed newcomers to a military force that had brought the mighty Krynith Empire to its knees in less than a week. We need to stop this, the Council had said. Before it escalates further, how do we stop them? Another representative asked. We tried calling for peace talks. They ignored us. Just like they ignored us when we tried to help the Krynith. Humanity gave warnings. No one listened. On Crinthia, the Emperor's advisors urged him to continue fighting. But he could see the truth on his tactical displays. Every military base either destroyed or under attack. His fleet scattered and demoralized. His people terrified. He had laughed when the humans warned him. He had dismissed them as weak mammals who didn't understand war. Now he understood. The humans knew war very, very well. They had simply chosen not to fight until forced to do so. And when they finally fought, they did so with terrifying efficiency. The Emperor activated his communication system and sent a message on all frequencies. This is Emperor Kreth of the Krynith Empire. I request immediate ceasefire negotiations with Earth. Admiral Jiwoo received a message in Earth Defense Command. He looked at the star map, at all the red markers blinking out one by one as Krynith bases fell. Should we accept, sir? His aide asked. Divu thought about the 3,000 dead at Tau Ceti 4. He thought about the warnings ignored. He thought about the Krynith ambassador laughing in the council chamber. Yes, he said finally. We accept, but on our terms only. Ambassador Yun-hee walked into the Galactic Council chamber for the first time in 2 weeks. The last time she had been here, she had delivered Earth's final warning. The Krynith ambassador had laughed at her. Today was different. Very different. Every seat in the chamber was filled. Representatives from all 40 member species attended, along with observers from 20 more. Everyone wanted to witness this moment. The chamber fell silent as Yun-hee took her position at the center podium. Behind her stood Emperor Kreth of the Krynith Empire. His forearms hung at his sides. His proud bearing was gone, replaced by defeat. Two human marines flanked him, not as guards but as escorts. The symbolism was clear. The Galactic Council recognizes Ambassador Yunhee of Earth. The Council had announced formally. Yunhee looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives who had dismissed humanity for 80 years, who had treated them like children, who had done nothing when the Krynith attacked Tau Ceti 4. 2 weeks ago, I stood here and delivered a warning, she began, her voice calm but firm. I told this council that the Krynith Empire had crossed a line by murdering 3,000 human civilians. I warned that there would be consequences. The Krynith ambassador found this amusing. She paused, letting her words sink in. He said humans didn't understand war. He was wrong. We understand war very well. We simply choose peace when possible. But when peace is not possible, when warnings are ignored and innocent lives are taken, remember how to fight. Emperor Kreth shifted uncomfortably behind her. Earth has accepted the Krynith Empire's request for ceasefire, Yunhee continued. But this ceasefire comes with non-negotiable terms. She activated a holographic display showing the tree document. First, the Krynith Empire will disarm. Their military will be reduced to defensive forces only, no more than 100 ships total. All offensive weapon systems will be destroyed under Earth supervision. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some species looked shocked at such harsh terms. Others nodded in approval. Second, the Krynith Empire will pay reparations. 30 billion credits to the families of those killed at Tau Ceti 4, an additional 50 billion for reconstruction and security of human border colonies. Third, the Krynith Empire will cede all territory within 5 light years of human space. This zone will be demilitarized and monitored by Earth forces. Fourth, the Krynith Empire accepts full responsibility for initiating hostilities and for all deaths resulting from their actions. Emperor Kreth's voice was barely a whisper. We accept these terms. Yunhee turned to face him directly. Your empire murdered 3,000 innocent people. You ignored our warnings. You treated our desire for peace as weakness. These terms are generous considering what you did. If you had faced humanity 300 years ago, before we learned to control our worst impulses, your empire would not exist anymore. The emperor bowed his head. I understand. General Taeyang stood in the occupied Krynith military headquarters on Krynith 2, overseeing the dismantling of weapon systems. Krynith soldiers, now prisoners of war, watched as their battleships were systematically disabled. How are they taking it? His aide asked. Better than expected, Taeyang replied. I think they're relieved it's over. They were losing badly, and they knew it. A Krynith officer approached under guard. General Taeyang, I request permission to speak. Go ahead. The officer looked uncomfortable. My people were taught that humans were weak, that you avoided conflict because you couldn't fight. We were very wrong. I wanted to say that we understand now why you tried so hard for peace. You knew what war would mean. Taeyang nodded slowly. War is terrible. Even when you win, you lose people. Good people. We lost soldiers too. Every death, human or Krynith, is a tragedy. That's why we gave warnings. That's why we tried every other option first. Your warning should have been heeded, the Krynith officer said quietly, far from the politics and occupation. Commodore Haiyan Wu stood on the newly rebuilt colony of Tau Ceti 4. The Krynith bombardment had killed everyone and destroyed everything. Now, humans were rebuilding. In the center of the new settlement stood a memorial. 3,000 names carved into black stone. Haiyan Wu had recorded the massacre from Sentinel-9. He had watched helplessly as people died. Now he made sure no one would forget them. A young woman approached the memorial, placing flowers at its base. "My sister's name is here," she said to Hyan Wu. "She was a teacher. She loved this colony." "I'm sorry for your loss," Hyan Wu said gently. "Did we do the right thing?" The woman asked. "Fighting back, I mean. All those Krynith soldiers who died. Was it worth it?" Hyan Wu looked at the memorial, at the 3,000 names. "We gave them every chance to avoid this. We followed the rules. We showed patience. We warned them. They chose to ignore us. Sometimes the only way to stop more deaths is to fight back. Yes, Krynith soldiers died. But how many more humans would have died if we hadn't stopped them?" The woman nodded slowly. "My sister would have wanted peace. But she also would have wanted justice. She got both," Hyan Wu said. "The war is over. Justice was served. Now we rebuild." Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Yunhee addressed the assembly one final time. The council failed to act when the Krynith attacked Tau Ceti. 4. You called for patience and negotiation while our people were dying. Some of you suggested we simply relocate our colonies to avoid conflict. She looked at the council head. Earth will not forget this failure. We will remain members of this council. We will continue to work toward peace and cooperation among all species. But we will never again rely solely on this council for our security. Earth's military will remain active and vigilant. We will defend ourselves and our allies. And if we give a warning in the future, everyone in this galaxy should remember what happened when the Krynith ignored our warnings." The council head stood. "Ambassador Yunhee, the council apologizes for its failure to support Earth during this crisis. We have revised your species classification. Earth is no longer listed as a developing species. You are now classified as a protected species with full military recognition." Yunhee allowed herself a small smile. "Thank you. But we don't need protection from others. We can protect ourselves. The classification means something different," the council head explained. "It means other species are protected from you. It's a warning to the galaxy. Do not engage Earth in conflict." 6 months later, Admiral Jiwoo stood in his office on Earth, reviewing reports. The Krynith disarmament was complete. Reparations were being paid. The demilitarized zone was established. Peace had returned. General Taeyong entered the office. "Admiral, we have a request from the Vexer Union. They're having a border dispute with the Torvin Collective, and they're asking if Earth would be willing to mediate." Jiwoo raised an eyebrow. "They want us to mediate?" 6 months ago, they barely acknowledged we existed. "Things change," Taeyong said with a slight smile. "Apparently both sides trust us to be fair, and both sides are very motivated to avoid having us involved militarily." Jiwoo nodded. "Tell them we'll send mediators. But make it clear that we expect both sides to negotiate in good faith. We proved we can fight. Now let's prove we can build peace." As Earth returned to its preferred role as peacemaker and diplomat, the Ghost Fleet remained ready. Ships patrolled the borders. Weapons stayed maintained. Crews stayed trained. Humanity had delivered its final warning. The galaxy had learned to listen. In the rebuilt colony on Tau Ceti 4, children played in the streets while their parents worked to build a new future. The memorial stood at the center of town, a reminder of what was lost and why it mattered. Commodore Hyan Wu visited the memorial every week, making sure the names stayed clean, the flowers stayed fresh. He had been there when it happened. He would make sure no one ever forgot. Above him, Sentinel-9 continued its watch over human space. The warning system stayed active. The monitoring never stopped, because Earth had learned the most important lesson of all. Peace is precious, worth fighting for, and must be defended by those willing to remember what war costs. The galaxy had crossed the line. Earth had delivered the consequences. Now everyone knew that when humans give a warning, they mean every single word.